Dallas, Texas, a sprawling metropolis where skyscrapers pierce the clear blue sky. A place of unlimited opportunity that draws dreamers and strivers to the city. The air hums with the energy of countless enterprises. But even in the brightest light, shadows lurk. Beneath the gleaming surface, a darkness festers. Ambition can twist into desperation. In this labyrinth, monsters walk among us. Known in his neighborhood as Repeat, while others called him Pistol Pete. Dorsey's story is a descent into darkness, evil, and the mind of a psychopath. This is the story of Leon David Dorsey. In April of 1994, a time when the air in Dallas is sweet with the promise of spring and the city awakens from its winter slumber. In the annals of Dallas history, this year would forever be etched in the memory of many. Not for its blooming flowers and warm breezes, but for the chilling emergence of a monster. On the night of April 4th, the familiar routine of a Blockbuster video store in East Dallas was about to be shattered. The aisles, usually bustling with eager moviegoers, stood eerily quiet. Behind the counter, two young employees, 20-year-old Brad Lindsay and 26-year-old James Armstrong, went about their duties. Unaware of the darkness that lurked just outside, they prepared for another ordinary night at work. Overlooked, a young man moved through the store, his steps purposeful, with sinister intentions, and the two employees were oblivious to the evil it was about to harbor. This was Leon David Dorsey, and he was about to unleash a night of unimaginable terror. With a chilling casualness, Dorsey entered the store, his arrival unnoticed, his true nature masked behind an unremarkable facade. He was about to reveal the darkness that lay beneath, and, in doing so, change the lives of Brad Lindsay, James Armstrong, and countless others forever. The clock ticked past the hour, and in the quiet aisles of the Blockbuster video store, a nightmare was about to unfold. Inside the Blockbuster video store, Brad Lindsay and James Armstrong continued their routine, their laughter echoing softly through the aisles. They were young, full of life, and utterly unprepared for the horror that was about to unfold. Dorsey's eyes scanned the room, taking in the layout, the exits, the unsuspecting employees. His gaze settled on Lindsay and Armstrong, their backs turned as they stocked shelves, oblivious to the danger lurking in their midst. A cruel smile played across Dorsey's lips. He had found his prey. With a swift, almost graceful movement, Dorsey drew his 9mm pistol, the metal glinting under the fluorescent lights. The sharp click of the safety disengaging cut through the silence, a chilling sound that shattered the illusion of normalcy and heralded the arrival of unimaginable terror. The nightmare had begun. "Get down on the ground. Now." Dorsey's voice, cold and menacing, echoed through the store, silencing the laughter and the soft hum of the overhead lights. Lindsay and Armstrong, their faces etched with fear, froze, their eyes wide with disbelief. The reality of the situation crashed over them. This was no joke, no prank. They were staring into the face of true evil. Dorsey, his gun set on the terrified employees as he barked orders, his voice laced with an unsettling calm that belied the chaos he was about to unleash. His tone, brooking no argument, commanded the two men to move to the back room. Lindsay and Armstrong, their bodies trembling with fear, complied, their every movement dictated by the cold steel of Dorsey's gun. The back room, usually a place of mundane tasks and inventory checks, transformed into a prison of fear. Dorsey ordered the employees to open the safe. his impatience growing with each passing second. Armstrong, his hands shaking uncontrollably, struggled with the combination, his mind racing, desperate for a way out. Lindsay, his face pale and drawn, could only watch in horror, his own fear mirroring the terror in Armstrong's eyes. Sensing Armstrong's hesitation, Dorsey's demeanor shifted. The mask of control slipped, revealing the rage simmering beneath the surface. He pressed the gun harder against Armstrong's temple, his voice a low growl. "Open it. Now." Adrenaline surged through Armstrong's veins. He knew that complying with Dorsey's demands meant certain death. His only chance, however slim, was to run, to make a desperate bid for freedom. With a surge of strength born of terror, he shoved Dorsey aside and bolted for the door, his heart pounding in his chest. A single gunshot ripped through the silence, echoing through the store like a death knell. Armstrong crumpled to the ground, his desperate flight for freedom cut tragically short. Lindsay watched in horror as his friend lay dying, the life draining from his eyes. He closed his own eyes, bracing for the inevitable. Dorsey, his face now a mask of cold fury, turned his attention to Lindsay. There would be no witnesses, no loose ends. With a chilling calmness that belied the brutality of his actions, he fired a single shot, ending Lindsay's life and silencing the only other witness to his horrific crime. The deed done, Dorsey moved with a chilling efficiency, emptying the cash register and stuffing the bills into his pockets. He cast a final, emotionless glance at the bodies of his victims, their lifeless eyes staring blankly up at him. Then, with the same casualness he had displayed upon entering the store, he melted back into the night, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable carnage, and took only $396. The sirens wailed in the distance, a mournful chorus that heralded the arrival of the police. News of the brutal murders at the Blockbuster video store spread like wildfire through the community, leaving a trail of shock and disbelief in its wake. The investigation began immediately, a race against time to catch a killer before he could strike again. Detectives swarmed the crime scene, their faces grim as they surveyed the carnage. The yellow tape fluttered in the breeze, a stark reminder of the violence that had unfolded within the once familiar walls of the video store. As the investigation unfolded, a name surfaced from the shadows: Leon David Dorsey. His girlfriend, shaken and terrified, came forward with a chilling account. She claimed Dorsey had confessed to the Blockbuster murders, his words sending shivers down her spine. The detectives listened intently, their suspicions growing with each passing moment. Could this be the break they were looking for? Armed with this new information, the detectives brought Dorsey in for questioning. He sat across from them, his demeanor calm, almost detached, his eyes betraying no hint of the darkness that lurked within. He denied any involvement in the murders, his voice steady, his gaze unwavering. The detectives, experienced interrogators, watched him closely, searching for any crack in his facade, any telltale sign that would betray his guilt. The interrogation room was thick with tension, the air heavy with suspicion. Dorsey maintained his innocence, his answers measured, his tone even. The detectives pressed him for details, their questions designed to trip him up. They presented the evidence, eyewitness accounts, fingerprints, and security footage. But Dorsey remained unfazed, his denials unwavering. He countered their claims, offering plausible explanations. Frustration mounted as the hours turned into days. The detectives, though convinced of Dorsey's guilt, lacked concrete evidence. They had their suspicions, but hunches weren't enough. They needed proof, hard evidence, and they were running out of time. Just when it seemed like the investigation had hit a dead end, a glimmer of hope emerged. A search at Dorsey's residence yielded a crucial piece: a 9mm pistol. It was the same type of weapon used in the Blockbuster murders, a chilling connection. The discovery of the 9mm pistol was a significant breakthrough, linking Dorsey to the Blockbuster murders. Detectives submitted the weapon for ballistic testing, hoping for conclusive results. But the results were inconclusive, leaving them with more questions. The investigation continued, but the trail had gone cold. Leon David Dorsey walked free, his shadow looming over Dallas. The shadow of the Blockbuster murders lingered over Dallas like a shroud. The city, once a symbol of boundless opportunity and unwavering optimism, now grappled with a chilling sense of vulnerability. The knowledge that a cold-blooded killer walked free, his crimes unpunished, his motives shrouded in mystery, cast a pall over the city's vibrant spirit. 5 months of agonizing uncertainty for the families of Brad Lindsay and James Armstrong had passed, their grief compounded by the lack of closure, the knowledge that their loved one's killer still walked free. The city held its breath, the fear palpable, the question echoing in the minds of every citizen. When would he strike again? For the detectives tasked with solving the Blockbuster murders, the pressure was immense. The investigation had hit a wall, the leads growing colder with each passing day. The grainy security footage, their most promising piece of evidence, had failed to yield a positive identification, leaving them with a frustratingly vague image of the killer and a growing sense of impotence. The city watched and waited, the fear a constant companion. Every stranger was viewed with suspicion, every shadow a potential threat. The fabric of Dallas's vibrant community, woven from threads of trust and shared dreams, had been irrevocably torn, the sense of security shattered by the knowledge that evil lurked in their midst. September 11, 1994. In Ellis County near Dallas, a horror was about to unfold. Hyon Suk Chon, a diligent store owner, was working late. Leon David Dorsey entered, his eyes cold and calculating. He found his target, a lone woman, vulnerable. His actions were swift and brutal. In a dimly lit back room, he ended her life. The news of Hyon Suk Chon's murder sent shockwaves through Ellis County. The brutality of the crime struck fear and outrage in the hearts of the people. Detectives worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle of Hyon Suk Chon's final moments. A single 9mm shell casing was a crucial piece of evidence. The caliber matched the weapon used in the Blockbuster murders. Leon David Dorsey was once again thrust into the spotlight. Technological advancements allowed investigators to re-examine the evidence. The net was closing in on Leon David Dorsey. Justice for Hyon Suk Chon felt like a hollow victory. The wheels of justice, often frustratingly slow, were finally gaining momentum. The ballistic match was the smoking gun the detectives had been searching for, the irrefutable link connecting Leon David Dorsey to the murder of Hyon Suk Chon. Armed with this newfound evidence, they secured an arrest warrant, their resolve hardened by the knowledge that a killer was about to be brought to justice. The raid on Dorsey's residence was swift and decisive. The element of surprise was on their side, leaving him no time to react, to dispose of evidence, to fabricate another alibi. They found him inside, his demeanor surprisingly calm, his eyes betraying a flicker of resignation, as if he had been expecting their arrival, as if some part of him knew that his reign of terror was about to come to an end. As they slapped the handcuffs on his wrists, a sense of relief washed over the detectives, a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The hunt was over, the chase finally at an end. But their satisfaction was tempered by the knowledge that their work was far from done. They had apprehended the man they believed responsible for the murder of Hyon Suk Chon. But what about Brad Lindsay and James Armstrong? What about the shadow of the Blockbuster murders that still hung heavy over the city? Dorsey was transported to the interrogation room, the same room where he had sat months earlier, a picture of composure and feigned innocence. But this time, the air was different, thick with the weight of the evidence against him, the knowledge that he was no longer a suspect, but a perpetrator, his carefully constructed facade of normalcy crumbling around him. The detectives sat across from Dorsey, their faces etched with a mixture of fatigue and grim satisfaction. Gone was the cocky swagger he had displayed during his first interrogation, replaced by a palpable tension. The game was up, and he knew it. They presented him with the evidence, methodically dismantling his alibi. Each piece of the puzzle fit together perfectly, painting an undeniable picture of his guilt. Dorsey listened in silence, his eyes darting between the faces of the detectives. The interrogation stretched on for hours, a battle of wills. The silence in the room was broken only by the rhythmic tapping of a pen. Finally, as the night wore on, the dam broke. Dorsey confessed to the murder of Hyon Suk Chon. He recounted the events of that night, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. But his confession left the detectives with a lingering sense of unease. Dorsey denied any involvement in the Blockbuster murders. He confessed to one act while hoping to keep another buried. Years turned into a slow drip of agonizing time for the families of Brad Lindsay and James Armstrong. While Leon David Dorsey languished in prison for the murder of Hyon Suk Chon, his conviction for that crime felt like a hollow victory. The specter of the Blockbuster murders, unsolved and seemingly forgotten, haunted their every waking moment. The Dallas Police Department, though burdened by countless other cases and the relentless passage of time, never officially closed the Blockbuster case. It remained on their books, a cold case file gathering dust in a forgotten corner, a testament to the enduring power of unanswered questions and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Then, in 1998, a glimmer of hope emerged from the relentless march of technological advancement. New sophisticated facial recognition software, still in its infancy but showing remarkable promise, offered investigators a chance to revisit the grainy security footage from the Blockbuster store. The footage, once a source of frustration and dead ends, now held the potential to unlock the secrets of that fateful night. The FBI, armed with this cutting-edge technology and driven by the possibility of finally cracking the case, agreed to assist the Dallas Police Department. They obtained the original security tapes, their magnetic strips now fragile with age, and began the painstaking process of digitally enhancing the images, of coaxing clarity from the shadows, of bringing the ghosts of the past into sharp focus. The atmosphere inside the FBI's tech lab was thick with anticipation. The hum of computers filled the air, the glow of monitors illuminating the faces of the technicians as they worked tirelessly. The grainy images flickered on the screens, slowly coming into focus. The facial recognition software meticulously mapped the contours of the killer's face. Then, with a suddenness, the software made a match. A name flashed across the screen: Leon David Dorsey. The news reverberated through the Dallas Police Department, a mixture of shock and vindication. The weight of his crimes pressed down on Leon David Dorsey in Texas's death row. His once cocky demeanor had crumbled, revealing the monster beneath. His eyes flickered with fear, resentment, and detachment. Life on death row was a stark departure from the world he once knew. Now, his world was reduced to a small, concrete cell, haunted by the ghosts of his victims and his impending execution. Leon David Dorsey, once confident and in control, now faced the death penalty, a terrifying reality. His execution date loomed as a constant reminder. Classified as a Level 3 inmate, his rage and defiance were palpable. He lashed out, his fury fueled by resentment. Yet, moments of eerie calm followed his outbursts. Leon David Dorsey, living on borrowed time, trapped in a cage of his own making. August 12, 2008. Dawn broke over Huntsville, Texas, casting a pale light on the imposing walls of the Huntsville unit. Inside, Leon David Dorsey prepared to face the ultimate consequence of his actions. The appeals had been exhausted, the legal battles fought and lost. The execution chamber, cold and sterile, awaited its grim duty. Witnesses, their faces etched with grief and anger, filed into the viewing room. Among them were the families of his victims, their presence a testament to the enduring power of grief. Dorsey was escorted into the execution chamber, his movements slow and deliberate, his eyes scanning the room, taking in the witnesses, the guards, the sterile efficiency of it all. He was dressed in white, his arms strapped to his sides, his legs bound together. He looked frail, almost insignificant, a stark contrast to the monster who had terrorized Dallas all those years ago. He was given the opportunity to make a final statement, to offer words of remorse, to seek forgiveness from those he had wronged. He turned toward the viewing room, his eyes meeting the gaze of his victims' families, their faces a mixture of pain and defiance. "I love all y'all," he said, his voice surprisingly steady, his words echoing through the silent chamber. "I forgive all y'all. See y'all when you get there." His words, a strange mix of defiance and resignation, hung in the air, unanswered, unacknowledged. The families of his victims sat in stunned silence, their expressions unreadable, their emotions a tangled web of grief, anger, and a profound sense of emptiness. The warden gave the signal, and the execution began. The lethal cocktail of drugs flowed through the IV line, coursing through Dorsey's veins, shutting down his organs one by one. He closed his eyes, his chest heaving slightly, his face pale and drawn. 9 minutes later, Leon David Dorsey was pronounced dead. The silence in the execution chamber was deafening, broken only by the muffled sobs of his victims' families. Justice, long delayed, had finally been served, but it was a hollow victory, a bittersweet resolution to a case that had left an indelible scar on the city of Dallas. The execution of Leon David Dorsey marked the end of a chapter in Dallas's history, a chapter stained with the blood of innocent victims and the lingering trauma of unanswered questions. His crimes, senseless and brutal, had shaken the city to its core, exposing the dark underbelly that lurked beneath its glittering facade. Dorsey's life, a twisted path of violence and despair, served as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked rage. He was a monster. Yes, but he was also a human being, a product of a broken system, a soul lost to the darkness that resides within us all. In the aftermath of his execution, the families of his victims were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives to navigate the long and arduous journey of healing. Their grief, etched into the very fabric of their beings, would forever be a part of them, a constant reminder of the loved ones they had lost. The case of Leon David Dorsey, though officially closed, continued to resonate within the halls of the Dallas Police Department and the hearts of those who had worked tirelessly to bring him to justice. It served as a stark reminder of the importance of their work, the need to be vigilant, to never give up hope, to always seek the truth, no matter how elusive it may seem. And so, the city of Dallas moved on, forever changed by the crimes of Leon David Dorsey. The scars he left behind, though faded with time, served as a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows, and the importance of fighting for justice, for accountability, and for the hope of a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime cases. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the case of Leon David Dorsey?